President of Hutton Wealth Management, and I want to thank everyone for joining us today. At the end of today's presentation, we're going to take a few minutes to answer any questions that you may have. If you don't have one, go grab a pen and a notepad so that you can take some notes for this evening. Feel free to type any questions that you have down in the Q&A or the chat box located at the bottom of your screen. And today, we're going to be spending some time talking about retirement planning. And more specifically, we're going to be talking about retiring on purpose and creating that life that you want. Unfortunately, my industry tends to be focused too myopically or short-sighted on this discussion. And to prove this point, if you've got your pen handy, I want you to write down the following formula. M equals R, where M is your money and R is a happy retirement. And that's going to be our focus, right? Well, what's the problem with just M equals R? That's a great start, but if you have money and time, how are you going to live? And what will you do with your time? Those are the questions. The real formula should be P plus M equals R, where P is your purpose or your plan, and M equals money, and R equals a happy retirement. And this is going to be the formula for the basis of our conversation today. How many of you dream of a day that you'll never, ever have to hear that sound again? You've probably dreamt of a day that you could take that clock and just throw it out the window. After all, the idea of doing anything you want, whenever you want, sounds awesome. Have you also ever thought that having no reason to get up in the morning might actually be a terrible thing? So I want to start off by showing you a clip from the movie The Intern with Robert De Niro. And I want you to hear what he has to say about the expectations and the realities of retirement.
Freud said, love and work, work and love. That's all there is. Well, I'm retired and my wife is dead. As you can imagine, that's given me some time on my hands. My wife's been gone for 3.5 years. I miss her in every way. And retirement, that is an ongoing, relentless effort in creativity. At first, I admit I enjoyed the novelty of it. Sort of felt like I was playing hooky. I used all the miles I'd saved and traveled the globe. The problem was no matter where I went, as soon as I got home, the nowhere to be thing hit me like a ton of bricks. I realized the key to this whole deal was to keep moving. Get up, get out of the house, and go somewhere. Anywhere. Come rain or shine, I'm at my Starbucks by 7:15. I can't explain it, but it makes me feel part of something. How do I spend the rest of my days? You name it. Golf, books, movies, pinochle, tried yoga, learned to cook, bought some plants, took classes in Mandarin. Translation, believe me, I've tried everything. And then, of course, there are the funerals. So many more than I could imagine. The only traveling I do these days is out to San Diego to visit my son and his family. They're great. I love them to pieces. But to be honest, I think I probably relied on them way more than I should. Don't get me wrong. I'm not an unhappy person. Quite the contrary. I just know there's a hole in my life and I need to fill it. Soon.
That's pretty powerful. So what De Niro's describing here is a very real situation for many retirees. In fact, research shows that retirees experience a sensation that's called sugar rush as they enter retirement. That is, they have a feeling of joy followed by a sharp decline in happiness, and it happens in just a matter of months. Remember when De Niro said that at first it felt like a novelty to him, like he was playing hooky, but then the nowhere to be kind of hit him like a ton of bricks. And maybe the most important thing, I'm not an unhappy person. I just know that there's a hole in my life and I need to fill it. So what's happening here? Well, most people don't understand that when you leave work, you leave a part of your identity behind, and that gap can't be filled with busy work. And that's why retiring on purpose, with purpose, is so critical. In fact, you're going to see that it will have an effect on your health and your longevity in retirement. You see, there's been a lot of research around how people adapt to life changes like retirement. This chart here is what's called the Briggs transition model, and it describes the 3 stages people go through in a life-changing transition. In the first area, this is where we experience the ending stage, and this is the stage where we lose something or we have to let something go. But eventually, we move to what is called the neutral zone. This is the bridge between the old and the new. We accept the change that's inevitable, but we still feel lost if we don't know where we're going. The final stage is the new beginning. This is when we begin to embrace change and the new opportunities that it presents. And how we move through these changes differs for everyone. Some people never get past the first stage. Some people stay adrift in the neutral zone indefinitely. But with the right kind of planning, you can work your way through the first stages very quickly and embrace the new beginning. And that's where the fulfilling retirement begins. I want to introduce you to Kate Paul. Her name is Kate Paul, like myself. After decades of a high-level executive, she retired from working. Her finances were just fine, but listen to what she has to say about finances and retirement.
I was a pre-retiree, a retiree, a failed retiree, and now I'm a pre-retiree again. I retired the first time when I was 53. I thought that everything would be absolutely fabulous because I wouldn't have to work again and I was still young and I could do all kinds of fun stuff. And I failed miserably at retirement because I hadn't given any thought to what I would do when I was retired. I just thought it'd be really great not to have to go to work again, and that would kind of be the end of it, and I could travel and do all the fun stuff I wanted to do and be on nonprofit boards and a couple of corporate boards. I was also the chair of the Denver Federal Reserve Bank Board, and one of the things that I really didn't consider was that while I could be busy, and I was really busy, going from one thing to the other, it really was sort of just a task activity driven existence. It really wasn't doing things that I really wanted to do or that gave me some sort of really terrific satisfaction.
So why is retirement so hard, and why is it harder than we expected? Well, one of the reasons is because of time. And this chart I'm going to show you here is the typical life of an individual between the ages of 25 to 54 with children. I don't necessarily agree with all of this because, as you can see, the first part here is that this particular group of people gets to sleep 7.8 hours. I don't know anybody that has kids that gets to sleep that much, but apparently this group of people does. But typically, they're saying between the ages of 25 to 54 that you get about 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And then we spend about 8 to 9 hours working, followed by the rest of our time, which is about 7.4 hours, which we use for childcare, cleaning, cooking, exercising, and doing all of the other things that we do with our time. Now, after retirement, time is both good and it's bad. And as you can see up in the upper left-hand corner, time is your frenemy. I know it seems counterintuitive, but filling all that time is a whole lot harder than you think. Try doing this for 20 to 30 years or maybe even more. Remember, every day is Saturday. How many of you have been on vacation for a week and after that time you are just ready to get back to work? Imagine doing that for the rest of your life. So it's very important that we design something, or you design something that'll keep you busy and happy while you're in retirement. And to avoid failing at retirement, as Kate Paul put it, I want you to listen to some leading experts on living well in retirement. This is Richard Leder, executive life coach and best-selling author of The Power of Purpose, and John Nelson, retirement educator, co-author of What Color is Your Parachute for Retirement? And last, Christine Whalen, PhD, clinical professor of the Consumer Science at the University of Wisconsin.
There are many expectations about retirement. Each of us is an experiment of one. Each of us has our own story about what we hope for, what we expect in retirement. There's an old story about retirement that I grew up with. The old story was grow up, hit a certain age, decline, sail into the sunset. Retirement was about a permanent vacation.
But one of the reasons that vacations during our career work is because they counterbalance all of the things involved in work. You know, for most people, work is one of the most challenging, in a bad way sometimes, but also challenging in a good way. It's one of the most involving, engaging things where we use our skills and strengths to work toward goals and outcomes, and that creates fulfillment. It creates a sense of meaning and purpose. And so our career does all those things for us. And so a vacation that's based on leisure or fun or travel, it's a counterbalance to that. It's valuable. But once we walk out of our work for the last time, it doesn't work as a counterbalance to just then have a leisure-based retirement for 10 or 20 or 30 years.
Retiring can be a positive trigger where it's the end of one chapter and the beginning of a new chapter, an opportunity to restart a new life, to restart and embrace new opportunities, to think about all those possibilities, all those dreams that you may have put on hold, and say, now is the time to embrace them.
Pretty neat stuff. So how do we prepare for retirement that offers purpose and value and meaning? Simple. We plan for life. And by planning, you will not only create a clearer picture of what you actually want in retirement, it's going to be the blueprint for your financial plan. So this next chapter in life will be different for everyone. Everyone wants different things in life, and everyone's vision of happiness and its meaning is different. But regardless, these three fundamental truths stand out. Surround yourself with the right people in the right place, pursuing the things that you're passionate about. Let's start with people. Relationships and social connections are vital to your well-being and happiness. And in some cases, life, you need them for your life. People with strong social connections have lower blood pressure, improved cognitive function, and a stronger immune system. Another consideration for your overall well-being in retirement is the place where you choose to spend it. If we go by statistics, most of you aren't probably going to relocate. However, some of you may. We've had a few that have. And if you do relocate, it's usually not typically very far. However, that being said, I have a number of our clients that have gone from different states, from Texas to Kansas, and we've had some come from just different states to Texas. And if you are ready to retire, this is a good time for a change of scenery. I promise you, it'll be much better off doing that and making those decisions now rather than waiting for later. And then let's talk about passion. How many of you have heard the saying, do what you love so that you'll love what you do? I think you'd be surprised to find out how many Americans don't love what they do. Retirement is a chance to change that. I want to know what excites you, what gets you fired up, and what brings you joy. These are the things that you need to focus on as we're getting ready to retirement. And as I look at this presentation, I think that this really needs to be backed up long before retirement. And this needs to be accurately described as living your life on purpose, not just living your retirement on purpose. You see, purpose is the granddaddy of all of this. Everything we've discussed so far is important to finding a fulfilling lifestyle. You may not think that it's a very big deal, but science disagrees. Neuropsychologists and behavioral scientists say purpose is a very real predictor of how well a person will live and thrive as they age. People who have a sense of their lives and are meaningful live longer. They are less likely to develop disabilities, suffer a stroke, develop Alzheimer's diseases, or suffer a cognitive decline. But let's back up and really define what we mean by purpose. It doesn't have to be difficult, but basically the answer to that big question is, what am I called to do? It's what gets you out of bed in the morning. It's what excites you, and it's your value system. And make no mistake, you don't actually find purpose in the traditional sense. It's not out there somewhere in the world waiting for you. It's a part of you. You articulate it, you explore it, and you live it. Here's the good news. We experience purpose when we surround ourselves with the right people in the right place, doing the things that we're passionate about, right there in the middle. That's where our purpose is at, guys. And I want you to hear a little bit more from our experts about the power of purpose.
Purpose is not a luxury, and the good life is not a luxury. It's fundamental to health, healing, vitality, and happiness.
If you can identify something that in your retirement years that you are in the service of, something greater than yourself or outside yourself that you are somehow connected to and contributing to, that is a pretty surefire way of having a sense of purpose, a sense of meaning, so that when you get up in the morning, it's not just a day of activities you're thinking about, but some larger purpose you're contributing to.
When we talk about purpose, it's often a very scary topic for a lot of people. It's a big word, right? And if I asked you to put together your purpose statement right now, I'd imagine you'd look at me blankly. That's okay. First of all, what are your gifts? What are you good at? What do you love to do? The second is, what are your core values? What are you passionate about? What matters to you? And the third is, who do you want to impact in your life? What groups, what people are you most passionate about? So if you write down 3 phrases or 3 words for each of those, then you put them together into a very short sentence. Because I value A, B, and C, I will use my gifts for X, Y, and Z to impact these groups of people. All of a sudden, you have taken the idea of creating a purpose statement away from this big thing and made it into something small steps and manageable that you can do right here, right now.
That's pretty fascinating when you think about that. And I want all of you guys, as you're taking your notes and things like that, to jot down some ideas. And feel free, we'd be happy to visit with each one of you about this. People, places, passion, and finally purpose, they're essential to living your best life in retirement. But to get there, you need a plan. And that's why we're here today. Your financial goals. But what's the money for? It's for living the life you want to live. When you build a plan with purpose that reconciles your life and dreams with your finances, that can be a path to a super fulfilling retirement. Guys, I hope that you enjoyed this presentation today. I do have some additional resources to go much deeper into some of these questions with exercises and evaluations. If you're interested, we're going to make those available to you. I want you to open up a bottle of wine and see where it takes you. It shouldn't feel like homework. As a matter of fact, we use a process which is called our dreams planning process. We talk about your dreams, we talk about your obstacles and your strengths, and then I promise you that you'll have fun going through some of these exercises. Next time we get together, you'll have a better handle on what you want. And that's what we're here for, to help you reach your dreams. But before we go, I want you to hear from these guys one last time.
So hopefully you've experienced some new ideas about living your vision of a good life, blending your life plan with your financial plan, with a sounding board, with an advisor who can help you to live the life you want.
We need to reconcile our hopes and dreams and plans with our finances. And that's where an advisor can help us too, because we can make then decisions about what really is feasible based on our income level or our budget in terms of spending money, not spending money or even making money based on the plan and the life that we want to live.
There is no one-size-fits-all approach to life or to a financial plan. If we think about purpose as the direction that we are trying to go in, then goals are the stepping stone to get there. Everybody is going to have a different set of stepping stones because everybody is going in a different direction. Advisors are encouraged to work with individuals to help them figure out what their values are, what their stepping stones are, what their journey will be. And quite frankly, if you're trying to follow someone else's journey, you aren't going to have the same excitement about it along the way, and certainly not when you get there. So it's important to realize that we're all an experiment of one. We're all on our own journey. What's yours?
Very powerful. I want to thank you for spending time with us today. We're going to take a few minutes to take some questions. Please type your questions in the Q&A or the chat located down at the bottom. Please let us know how we can help you reach your dreams. I encourage you to take advantage of the additional resources that we mentioned earlier, to sit down and talk to you about retirement planning, and more importantly, retiring on purpose and creating the life that you want. We would be delighted to add you to our mailing list and hope that you will follow us on social media to stay up to date with the most recent events and news of what's going on.